lot of people have been talking noise about the Big Red. When Raiola slings it, you get on your feet, and I want 4 quarters of smash mouth football!
Welcome, Husker fans. Thank you for tuning in to Big Red Radio, the Husker Talk Show. I am your host, Caleb Jennerette. Next to me is my co-host, as always, Zach Jennerette. Today, we're going to be giving our 5 bold predictions for Nebraska football in the 2025 season. Zach, how you doing? Before we get to it,
good. Definitely hyped up for the season. It's gonna be a good one. So yeah, ready to go.
It worries me. And before I get to all that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a like, hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Follow us in all of our socials, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all in the description below. Make sure you comment below your biggest bold prediction for Nebraska football this season. But what I was saying, it kind of makes me nervous, because all off season you're like, Nebraska fans are really honed in. They're like looking at the schedule, like this could be, a really good team. Like this could be a lot of wins. And just recently, you can tell, like, analysts are doing their research. They're getting back into it because Josh Pate, Brandon Walker, Tom Fornelli all have – Tom Fornelli might not, but Josh Pate and Brandon Walker have Nebraska in their college football playoff. And that kind of worries me a little bit because it feels like every time Nebraska gets these expectations, it doesn't end well. But they're just seeing the same things, we're seeing with the favorable schedule, Matt Rhule year 3, Dana Holgerson as the OC with Dylan Raiola, the upgraded receiver room. So I think, although it worries me a little bit, I'm confident that they're just seeing what I've been seeing this entire time. Do you kind of see those things too with the people predicting?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do. I think it's as far as like how I've seen them on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have. I thought you meant do I see the future playing out that way? But
well, yeah.
No, yeah, I've definitely seen them. I mean, there's quite a bit of hype around it. I mean, people know, right? Like, I mean, it's no secret that we've got a bunch of really good players and a really good coach, and obviously, it's always a team that seems to get hyped up, and so now, obviously there's ones now that you haven't seen in the past. So,
yeah, and I think it's honestly like everybody's either really high on Nebraska or they're just going to disappoint again. Like it's just 7-5 all over again. Like everybody's way too high on them; they're going to fall flat. So obviously, where we stand. If you watched our schedule prediction last week, and even with our bold predictions, I'm sure we'll talk about more. But yeah, I just want to get into it. Obviously, if you saw the schedule prediction, you saw the record that I predicted. So my first bold prediction is Nebraska makes the college football playoff. I'm not going to predict that they win a game or that they're a top 4 seed or anything like that. But you look at the schedule, we talked about it. They're going to be favored in at least 9 games, I think, maybe 10, maybe even 11, depending on how, Michigan looks coming into there. And USC looks also. I think Penn State's the only one that you're for sure not going to be favored in. So yeah, Nebraska's got a really good chance to have a really good record. And I think, a 10-2 Nebraska team is in the playoff, whether they're in the conference championship or not. So.
Yeah, I agree.
What's your first one?
Oh, my first one.
Let's just alternate.
My first bold prediction is that Dylan Raiola breaks the passing yard record for Nebraska for a season. I don't know. Depending on who you are, you decide if this is super bold or not. But if you want to look at like the numbers, right? So the current record is 3,568 in a season. Last year, Raiola put up 2,819, so 2,800 some change. You look at 6 or 7 games, he went under 200 yards in, and then some of those he's under 150, right? So for improvement there. And not a single game did he go over 300, right? Now, granted, I don't really expect him to go over 300.
Did he not go over 300? against Illinois?
297 against
Oh, okay.
Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, 297 against Illinois. Now, Grant, I don't see that happening very often, right? Like
Right.
maybe Houston Christian, maybe UTEP, but like other than that, like at the end of the day, it is Big Ten football. But I see a lot of like 210 to 230 games, which are better than 130 to 150 games, right? And those add up. And yeah, I think he'll break it this year. And then I honestly, this obviously isn't a bold prediction for this season, but I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks it, the next 2 years as well, right?
Right.
Just keep his own.
Yeah, and that kind of coincides with my next one. And kind of piggybacking off what you said, Dylan Raiola had the 7th most passing yards in a season last year in Nebraska football history. So it's like, as bad as he was in the Rutgers game, in the Ohio State game was rough for him, the Indiana game was rough for him, he still finished with a top 10, yards in Nebraska history. So definitely breaking that is definitely possible. I'm going to take it even a step further. I think Dylan Raiola leads the Big Ten in passing yards this season. If you look at Dana Holgerson's, track record, and I don't think it's going to be an air raid, which he's ran before at Texas Tech and at Houston and at West Virginia, but he has had multiple 5,000-yard seasons, multiple 4,000-yard seasons out of quarterbacks that aren't as talented as Dylan Raiola. The best guys he's had, I think he had a year of Graham Harrell. I think he had Geno Smith for a while at West Virginia. But other than that, Dylan Raiola is, and even with those quarterbacks, Dylan Raiola is right up there in terms of talent. And this receiver room is really good, which kind of bleeds into my next one. But I don't think there's a single quarterback set up better than Dylan Raiola in terms of leading the conference. I think, obviously, you look at Julian Sayin at Ohio State, but I think they're going to run the ball a lot. He's a really young guy. It's his first year starting, so I think they're going to take it easy on him. I don't think he's going to lead the league in passing yards, but that's definitely someone I can see. I'd be more worried about a guy like Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, where they're going to throw the ball a lot. But I really do think Nebraska's going to throw the ball a lot this year. And I think Dylan Raiola is going to complete a lot of passes, got a lot of good receivers, which I'll just actually, no, I'll let you go because I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But
yeah, my next one, again, I don't know how bold this really is, depending on who you ask, but it's that the Cincinnati game really won't be all that close. A lot of people are predicting it to be close. I don't know. I mean, you're looking at a Cincinnati team that was 5-7 last year, averaged 400 yards per game for their offense. Sure, that's not bad at all. But when you're also giving up 400 on the other end,
right.
To an offense that we expect to come out super explosive all over, whether that's on the ground or in the air, or a little creative here and there. I don't know. It's a 5-7 team that was 3-6 in the Big 12, that was 11th in the Big 12, that really hasn't got all that much better. In a essentially home environment, I don't know. I just don't see it being all that close. I think it's one where we win by 17 or more.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see it looking pretty similar to the Colorado game last year.
Right. I agree.
What I fall back on a little bit is, Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher on that defense, which they were total game wreckers in the middle there. Not that Riley Van Poppel and Williams Nwaneri and Keanu Davis can't be. We just haven't seen it, so it's kind of hard to just predict that.
At the same time, though, this Cincinnati offense is not the explosiveness of that Colorado offense, right? And so you can kind of take a step back with the pass rush because the quarterback's not Shador, right? And you don't have Travis Hunter breaking open down the field. And so maybe it takes you a second longer to get back there. Okay, I feel like that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you tune in next week. We're going to be doing our Cincinnati preview, and it seems like you already got a pretty good idea of where Zach's going on that one. My next one, and I talked a little bit about the receivers last time. I think Nebraska finishes with 2,000-yard receivers this season. I think, Dane Key is probably the easy shoe-in. and then one of Ja'Cory Barney and one of Isaiah Hunter can also finish with 1,000. This has obviously never happened at Nebraska. I think only 2 receivers ever have finished with over 1,000 yards at Nebraska, with Stanley Morgan and Trey Palmer just a few years ago. But I think I said it with the way Dana Holgorsen runs his offense, the way Dylan Raiola is going to throw for a lot of yards this year. I think he's going to have to throw a lot to his receivers. And I think, I don't think we're going to have one receiver just go off. I think Ja'Cory Barney, work in the middle. I think the only reason I'm a little hesitant on predicting Ja'Cory Barney to get 1,000 is that I think he's going to get his touches in a multitude of ways. Like, I think he's going to run the ball a lot. I think he's going to catch the ball a lot, while Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter are more going to be the leading pass catchers. But yeah, I think Nebraska is going to have a really explosive offense, and I think they have 2,000-yard receivers this year, which would be the first time in school history. Obviously, it'd be 2 top 5 receiving seasons on the same team in Nebraska history. So it'd be pretty crazy. So yeah, that's my third one.
Yeah, my third one is one that, again, now this one, people are probably going to call me a little crazy for thinking, but I think Nebraska will win multiple games being down inside 2 minutes. And I think you have quite a few games to do it at, right? I think Michigan is definitely one. I think Minnesota is one. I think USC is one. I think UCLA is a possibility there. I think Iowa is one as well, obviously. Now, am I coming out here and saying that we're going to be down inside 2 minutes in Michigan, Minnesota, USC, UCLA, and Iowa? No. I mean, it's not going to happen. But Minnesota, that's one that's very possible. USC, and then, I mean, Iowa, you might as well chalk it up as being down within 2 minutes. Right? So, but I just think if you want to look at, like, man, this team has turned the tide. It's not, hey, we won 9 games, right? It's not, hey, we made a really good bowl. It's not, hey, Raiola broke this passing record. This guy got 1,000 yards receiving. We had a really good punt return team. It's winning games down inside 2 minutes, right? It's not holding on to leads anymore, right? We already figured out how to do that. It's winning games that you shouldn't win is the, what I mean? Being the team where the other team's like, man, if only, like, we had them beat, right? But just couldn't do it. Being that team is, that's the script you got to flip for this team.
Yeah, and they definitely have the firepower to do it. So I'm excited to see that. I actually just switched one because I just thought of something else that I think is a better prediction, and that one is I think Carter Nelson leads Nebraska tight ends in receiving. There's a lot of talk about Heinrich Haarberg, but you got to remember he is switching positions. He was a quarterback, now he's switching to tight end. I think he's going to play more of an H-back role, specialty packages. He's going to get open down the field a few times. And then you also think about Luke Lindenmeyer. He's more of the blocking tight end. He's going to catch some big balls. You saw him open in the Illinois game, could have won the game. That would have been a big catch. He's going to run routes, and he's underrated, I think, as a receiver. But Carter Nelson is a true receiving threat at tight end. And after a year of kind of learning his way, fighting through some injuries, he's coming back fully healthy. He's going to be explosive. They're going to line him up in a lot of different spots, in line, in the slot, even out wide. He's really big, super athletic, was a state champ high jumper. So would not be surprised if we saw a lot of big plays from him. And I think he leads Nebraska in receiving from the tight end position.
Yeah, my next one, again, might seem wild, but I think at some point this season, Nebraska will crack into the top 15. Now, am I going to say they're going to end in the top 15, or they're going to start in the top 15, or they're going to be there for a long time? No. At some point in some poll that you look at this season, Nebraska will be 15 or higher. Obviously, a reputable poll, right? A reputable poll. But if you look at it, right, you go Cincinnati, Akron, Houston Christian, Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland. 6-0 with a win over Maryland or win over Michigan. That to me seems like as long as you win the games in the right way, that seems like a team that could be at 15, right? Now, granted, you have some things help, right? Like couple teams that are in the top 15 may have to lose out. You can't have
Right.
anyone else on a big run like Boise did last year. You'd have to. It obviously needs some help from all around. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know exactly how that's going to happen. But I think at some point this season they will crack that top 15 number.
Yeah, and actually one of my original bold takes was that Nebraska will end the year ranked top 15, but I took it off because you never know. Like I think obviously I predicted Nebraska to go have a really good record. Even if you're sitting at 10-2, those two losses could have came in the last 4 weeks of the season.
Right.
One could be a really bad looking loss to Penn State. Who knows, what your ranking is at that point. Whereas if you say you lose to like Minnesota, win a bunch of games, lose to Penn State, you're 10-2, you could easily be ranked in the top 13, 14. So I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska's ranked in the top 15 at the end of the year, but it's just there's a lot of things that I think could go wrong there. So my last bold prediction, my fifth one, is Matt Rhule wins Big Ten Coach of the Year. I think if Nebraska goes 10-2, there's really nothing in my mind that could take this award away from Matt Rhule. You're going to have the storyline, year 3, Nebraska's finally back. You're going to have a good team. Nebraska's win total right now is 7.5. You overachieve that and do double digits, make the playoff. I think, doing something that coaches haven't been able to do in, over a decade and win 10 games with Nebraska, that would easily catapult you into that conversation. And I think he wins it. So.
Yeah, my final one. It's one we've struggled with for a long time. I actually just saw a stat today that it's kind of mind-boggling. But my bold prediction is that special teams overall will be one of the top units on the field this year. Right? It'll be no more dreading sending the kicking team out, the punting team, the punt return team out. Right, like I mean, you're looking at like, hey, maybe special teams over the defense, right? Is like, hey, overall that's a better unit.
Right.
You look at our new punters, obviously a stud, an absolute stud. Ja'Cory Barney returning punts. I think it was the last 5 years of Nebraska football. I think we have 250 yards of punt returns. Over 5 years, right? Like we're not talking over, a season. That's low for a season, let alone, 5 seasons.
Right.
It's 5 seasons, right? This is before Matt Rhule. And so it's always been one, whether it was because we always fair caught it or personally, I think it was a charity case of putting IGC back there. I don't think he was the best guy to really return punts. I mean, yeah, he never didn't drop any punts. Sure, but at the end of the day, like that's kind of the minimum is to not drop the punt. Like you're not back there because you don't drop punts, right? You're back there because you can make explosive plays and kind of flip the field on some of these returns. And so with Ja'Cory Barney probably being back there, maybe a little Mosey back there, a couple other guys that could be back there. Plus, you have a really good kick return unit and really good kick unit, I think, and really good punt unit. And a great special teams coach coming in. I think, special teams is one where, maybe we go out and win some games via special teams this year.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about special teams. Obviously, in the news recently has been, Archie, and I think he's going to be a complete weapon. Earlier in the offseason, Ja'Cory Barney said he's going to lead the nation in punt return yards. So super excited to see that as well. I mean, he's electric, and I know a lot of people think very highly of him in the return game. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. I think the only thing, and I wouldn't even say worried, but the biggest question mark I have is the field goal unit. We just haven't heard a lot.
I agree.
So I think John Hull probably wins that job, but also the new transfer.
He's got the leg. Like, he's definitely got the leg. Right? Like,
yeah, so the new transfer could come in and take it, and there's just so many unknowns. It's kind of like the D-line where, I have faith that it's going to be good, but there's a lot of question marks there. So that's kind of what you just kind of naturally worry about that. But did you do all your bold predictions? Is that all of them?
That is, yeah, all 5.
Yeah. Okay. So make sure you comment down below your biggest bold prediction. Make sure you follow all the socials, subscribe, click Click the bell so you never miss an episode. All in the description below are the socials. Zach, you got anything else?
No, bet the mortgage next week, right?
Bet the mortgage next week. Yep, that is our sports betting show. We give our biggest, what is it, 3? I think we give our 3 biggest
I'm
picks
just
of the
saying we
week.
started, I think it was 14 for 14 last year.
Yeah, we didn't miss a bet in the first 3 weeks. Yeah, if we were 14 for 14, 3 weeks, and so I don't know how that works out, but
It was just under 3 weeks because you're looking
yeah.
at 3 each, 6, and yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we started off really hot last year. Obviously, it's going to be tough to replicate that again this year, but that's actually my favorite time to bet is at the beginning of the year because
I think it's the easiest.
I trust my opinions, and the sports books aren't going to overreact to certain things. And when you guess, like Florida State last year, I made some money betting against Florida State early because sports books hadn't corrected from what they thought Florida State was going to be. I made some money on Michigan because I saw Michigan play really poorly to start the year. They were winning games, but they won poorly. And then, I bet on them. I bet against them a lot, and I made some money there too. So you just gotta know when to bet. You gotta listen to us because we know what we're talking about. But yeah, we got nothing else. Make sure you comment down below. Like I said, follow the socials, subscribe, hit the bell. But without further ado, go Big Red.